All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome back. You ready for another deep dive? We're breaking down some of the most exciting NBA action from last night.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, so we've got 3 games on the docket tonight. Celtics versus Rockets, Lakers going head-to-head with the Hawks, and a real nail-biter, Spurs against the Nuggets.
Yeah, last night was a good one.
We're going beyond those basic scores, though, right?
Of course, of course.
We're digging into some of those standout player performances
Absolutely.
and maybe even uncover some hints about what these games could mean for the bigger picture.
The bigger picture, always important. Well, what's fascinating about last night's games, I think, is that they kind of offer a glimpse into how these individual performances can really shape a team's, trajectory for the whole season. We saw veteran players defying expectations, young stars kind of exploding onto the scene, and maybe even some strategic shifts that could impact, the rest of the season.
Okay, so let's jump right in with the Celtics and the Rockets. The Celtics, they snagged a pretty dominant win.
Yeah.
109-86, marking their 3rd victory in a row.
3rd in a row.
Derek White, the guy not always in the spotlight, just exploded for 23 points.
Yeah, it's interesting you point that out because while Derek White had a fantastic night, the Celtics' depth really shone through in this game. You had Tatum and Pritchard both hitting that 20-point mark, that kind of offensive firepower spread across the roster, makes them a really tough team to defend.
And they held the Rockets to a pretty low score. What does that tell you about the Celtics' defense? They haven't always been known for being a defensive powerhouse, have they?
That's right, that's right. Historically, the Celtics have relied more on their offense to win games, right? But what we saw last night, holding the Rockets to only 86 points, that might be a sign that they're focusing more on the defensive end of the court.
Yeah.
And if they can consistently play defense at this level, it could be a game changer for them, especially as we head towards the playoff.
All right, so Celtics fans have something to be excited about.
For sure.
Now, let's shift gears and head over to L.A., where the Lakers took on the Hawks. LeBron James, did he put on a clinic for us or what?
Yeah.
30 points and 8 rebounds.
LeBron James, he seems to be defying father time, right? But what's impressive isn't just the stat line, it's how effortless he makes it look at this point in his career. He's not just chasing points, he's controlling the pace of the game, making smart decisions, and leading his team to victory.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the ultimate leader.
It's like he's saying, I'm still here and I'm not going anywhere. But let's not forget Anthony Davis. He quietly put up 19 points doing what he does best.
Exactly. The Lakers have that dynamic duo, right?
Yes.
That can really cause problems for any team in the league. And what impressed me about this game wasn't just the final score, it was the Lakers' consistency. They outscored the Hawks in each of the first 3 quarters. That kind of sustained performance shows a level of focus and discipline that could take them far this season.
All right, so 2 games down, and now we're getting to the one I know you've been waiting for.
I have been waiting for this.
The Spurs took on the Nuggets, and let me tell you, this one went down to the wire.
Oh, yeah, down to the wire.
The Spurs managed to snatch the victory, 113-110. But it was a battle all the way through. Victor Wembanyama, remember that name?
Wembanyama, oh yeah.
He did not disappoint.
He did not disappoint.
35 points and 18 rebounds. What do you make of that performance?
Wow. We all knew coming into the season that Wembanyama was, a special talent. But this performance, it goes beyond the hype. 35 points and 18 rebounds for a rookie. Against a team like the Nuggets, that's a statement. He's showing the league that he can not only compete at this level, but dominate.
He's living up to the hype, that's for sure. But hold on, let's not forget Nikola Jokic on the other side of the court. He put up a monster 41 points for the Nuggets.
Yeah.
Was this just Jokic being Jokic, or was he trying to mash Wembanyama shot for shot?
Jokic is consistently one of the best players in the league, so 41 points, while impressive, isn't necessarily out of character for him. But I think you're right. There was a sense of, competition in the air. Oh, yeah.
These two went head-to-head, showcasing their incredible skills, and I think we can all agree that fans were the real winners in this offensive showdown.
For sure. Okay, so you've heard about the individual brilliance, but how do these wins shake up the team's standings?
Great question. Individual performances are exciting, but they only matter if they translate to team success in the standings, right? So let's start with the Celtics. After this win, they're sitting comfortably in 2nd place in the Eastern Conference with a 25-9 record.
2nd place in the East, that puts them right in the mix for a deep playoff run.
All right, absolutely. The Celtics have been building towards this for a while now, and they're looking like, legitimate contenders in the East. That defensive intensity we were talking about, That could be what separates them from the pack as we get closer to the playoffs.
So what about the Lakers? They're in the West, which is always a battleground. Where do they land after this win against the Hawks? Yeah, the Lakers, they're currently 6th in the Western Conference with a 19-14 record. It's a tight race out west with several teams vying for those playoff spots. The Lakers have the talent to make a run, but consistency will be key for them. They need to string together wins and avoid those stretches where they seem to lose focus.
So the Celtics are cruising in the East. The Lakers are fighting for their playoff lives in the West. And what about the Spurs? That win against the Nuggets has to be a huge confidence boost for them.
Oh, you're right. The Spurs win over the Nuggets moves them up to 9th in the Western Conference with a 17-16 record. They're right on the edge of the playoff picture. And with Wembanyama playing like this, they're a team nobody wants to face right now. The thing about it, they were projected by a lot of analysts to be, near the bottom of the league.
Right.
But they're exceeding expectations.
It's early in the season, but is it too early to start talking about the Spurs as a potential playoff team? I mean, we saw what Wembanyama did against the Nuggets, and that was against the reigning MVP, Nikola Jokic.
Look, it's definitely too early to say for sure, but, the Spurs are playing with a level of energy and confidence that's contagious. Wembanyama's presence on the court elevates everyone around him, and they're starting to believe they can compete with anyone. I wouldn't count them out just yet.
This is what makes the NBA so captivating, right?
Yeah.
You have these veteran players like LeBron still at the top of their game, and then you have these young guys like Wembanyama coming in and changing the whole landscape of the league.
It's a constant evolution. The NBA is always changing, and that's what keeps it fresh and exciting. We're seeing new stars emerge, new rivalries develop, and it's all unfolding right before our eyes.
So Celtics looking strong, Lakers battling in the West, and the Spurs becoming the league's favorite underdog. But let's rewind for a second. Earlier, you mentioned the Celtics defense might be a sign of a strategic shift. Can you unpack that a bit more for us?
Yeah, sure. So traditionally, the Celtics have been an offensive-minded team, right, relying on their scoring prowess to win games. But this season, there seems to be a renewed emphasis on defense. They're playing with a level of intensity and focus on that end of the court that we haven't seen from them in recent years. And remember, defense wins championships.
It's like they flipped a switch, and suddenly they're a defensive force to be reckoned with. Is this a coaching decision, or the players just more committed to that side of the game?
It's probably a combination of factors. The coaching staff is clearly emphasizing defense, and the players seem to have bought into that philosophy, And what's interesting is that their improved defense is actually creating more offensive opportunities. They're getting steals, forcing turnovers, and that's leading to fast breaks and easy baskets.
So their defense is fueling their offense.
Yeah.
That's a pretty scary combination for any team facing them. But what does this mean for a team like the Lakers, who rely so heavily on their star players to carry the load offensively?
Yeah, it's a great question. The Lakers have the star power to outscore almost anyone on a given night. But against a team like the Celtics, who can match their offensive firepower and shut them down defensively, they might need to find a more balanced approach.
So they can't just rely on LeBron and Davis to win every game. They need to step up their defense as a team.
That's right. They need to find ways to make life difficult for opposing offenses, disrupt their rhythm, and create those turnovers that can lead to easy points on the other end. If they can do that, they'll be a much tougher team to beat.
All right, so we've got the Celtics possibly changing the game with their defensive focus. That raises a really interesting question for me. With all the talent in the league and the different strategies teams are employing, who stands out to you? Who's exceeding expectations?
For me, it's Victor Wembanyama and the San Antonio Spurs. He's not just living up to the hype, he's exceeding it. He's not just putting up big numbers, he's impacting the game in so many ways. And what's really impressive is that he's doing this against, seasoned veterans, guys who've been in the league for years.
Yeah.
And he's not backing down from anyone.
And he's making the Spurs relevant again.
He is.
They were a dynasty for so long, and then they went through, a bit of a rebuilding phase.
Right.
But now with Wembanyama leading the charge, it feels like they're back on the map.
Oh, yeah. It's an exciting time to be a Spurs fan. They have this, young, talented core, and they're playing with a sense of purpose and excitement that's, infectious.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here, but let's bring it back to you, the listener. We talked about the Celtics' potential shift in strategy, the Lakers' need for consistency,
Right.
and the Spurs' surprising emergence as a contender. What's your biggest takeaway from these games? What should we be paying attention to as the season unfolds?
Hmm. For me, the biggest takeaway is that the NBA is wide open this year, There's no clear-cut favorite. Any team on any given night can pull off an upset. We're seeing individual players step up, teams evolving their strategies, and it's making for some incredibly compelling basketball.
So what you're saying is don't sleep on anyone. This season is full of surprises.
Exactly, exactly. And that's what makes it so exciting, right? You never know what's going to happen next. We could see a team like the Spurs make a deep playoff run or a dark horse contender emerge from the pack. Who knows?
Well, we'll be here to break it all down for you as the season progresses. But before we let you go, we want to leave you with this thought. We've talked about individual performances, team standings, even some potential strategic shifts. But what does this all mean for the rest of the season? Who or why are you keeping your eye on? Which teams? Which players have that extra something that makes you think they could be the ones to watch? We want you to dive deeper, explore the stats, follow those storylines, and most importantly, enjoy the ride. This NBA season is shaping up to be one for the books, and we can't wait to see what happens next.